But thank you for joining us on our second webinar. My name is Robert Chadwick, one of the co-founders of Global Mortgage Group. Unfortunately, Donald Klipp, my other co-founder, is unable to be here today, so hopefully I'll be able to fill his shoes here. In case this is your first experience with Global Mortgage Group, we are an overseas finance company. We specialize and focus only on expats and foreign nationals. Our main market is the US. However, we also do have loan programs in the UK, Australia, Canada, around Asia, and throughout Europe. So we pretty much cover the entire market. If you're looking to purchase an investment property or a second home, then we are definitely a good source to go to. So today's webinar is going to be covering the main focus is on US expats and how to obtain a conventional mortgage. There'll be five topics. One will be what is a conventional mortgage? Two will be what is required. Three will be the timelines and processes. That would be the average. Four will be the challenges with what's happening with COVID. And five, which is everybody's favorite subject, is interest rates and where they are today and where they will be tomorrow and going forward. So, with that said, conventional mortgage is you probably more hear of it as the term of Fannie Mae mortgage. And these are loans that follow the Fannie Mae guidelines. And Fannie Mae is the entity that purchases and sells US mortgages. So although a bank in the US, like for example, Wells Fargo or Citibank, they actually may fund the loan, but eventually it is sold to Fannie Mae, and then Fannie Mae packages it up and sells it on their own. So these loans are normally the best interest rates you can get. So if you're looking on websites such as bankrate.com and you see the rates that are advertised, for example, in the US, it's around 3.5% for a 30-year fixed. These are Fannie Mae loans. So this means that the borrower would be required to put 20% down. He would have to have a certain credit score, and he would have to stay within the Fannie Mae loan limits. The loan limits in the US, for most of the US, it's $510,400, which is the maximum. In high-cost states or counties, it's $765,600. So that makes up what a conforming loan is. What is required is the standard, as you would if you were walking into a bank into the US. And that's kind of what GMG really shines on, is we want to make your experience when you're purchasing a property the same as you would if you were earning your income and living in the US and walking into a local bank. So a standard Fannie Mae loan requires 2 years of tax returns, most recent, 2 months of bank statements, 2 months of pay stubs, your passport, your driver's license, social security card, etc. And any financial documents, especially these days because loans are being scrutinized quite strictly, anything that makes your application look stronger. For example, if you have a 401k or an IRA or a retirement plan in some country, this makes your application look stronger and your reserves are more visible. So the Fannie Mae credit score, which it seems to be a big issue now, because there's a lot of expats that we see that have been living abroad for many years. And when you live abroad for 5-10 years and you don't use US credit, you tend to lose a lot of your credit depth. So you still may have a credit score, but it isn't always sufficient to be able to qualify for a loan. So that's one of the things that we would look at. And then that's with the process. Credit scores used to be for a conventional loan as low as 620. Uh, Recently, and I'll go into this more into the challenges section, but recently, banks such as Wells Fargo and Chase, which are major mortgage lenders, especially in this field, have increased their credit scores to 720. That's a significant increase, as well as tightened other guidelines. So what that means is it's still entirely possible to get a mortgage, and it's not that difficult. It's just become a little bit longer and a little bit more tighter. The timelines and the process of getting a U.S. mortgage, the how it works with us is normally somebody comes through our website or is referred to us. We speak to them on the phone. We get an idea of what they're looking for, what their goals are with the property, what kind of cash flow that they want to see, and so forth. And based on that, we see if these programs are what works for them. Sometimes they don't qualify for a conventional mortgage, whether it is because the loan is larger than conforming limits, or they've been abroad for many years and they don't have the standard in the box requirements. In that case, we definitely have programs, but with the liquidity issue on the secondary market, they've been pulled back a bit, but still possible. So the process goes: after a phone call, we send you the mortgage application and a sample of how to complete it, or somebody will take it for you over the phone. And then once we receive that back, we do a credit check, and to make sure that your credit is not only the score is sufficient, but that you have the proper depth of credit. Once that is done, we go over it with the client, and if they want to move forward, we start the process. So if it's a purchase, once it goes through our processing and our underwriting, we issue a pre-approval. And with that letter, you can use that letter to go out and shop for a property. So it's a letter that states you've already gone through the financing process, you've been approved, and we don't see any issues with your financing. That letter is often used, or almost always used, with a purchase agreement offer. If you're doing a refinance, it's very similar. We don't issue a letter, but once you're approved and you're comfortable and ready to go, we open up an escrow account for you, and then we start the process with the order and appraisal and so forth. The entire timeline, so it's been a bit challenging, and most of the challenges have to do with things that are completely out of our control, and with the current situation with COVID in the U.S. and lockdowns and so forth. So getting appraisals, title companies working from home, et cetera, have been a bit challenging, but we've been able to overcome. So the process takes anywhere, if things run perfectly smooth, 30 days to 45 to 60 days now. And again, the issue with being abroad right now will be whether or not the embassies are open. Because you'll need to sign the documents at an embassy. So the challenges, well, besides just being an expat and earning your income abroad and normally not having a W-2, there are additional challenges with what's happening with COVID. There is definitely an increased scrutiny over the mortgage loans. What our job is to help you navigate this process and to make it much easier. The U.S. market is quite unique. It is basically run by the secondary market. There is an entire trade of mortgage-backed securities. And the problem is with people, there's concern about job loss, there's concern about how the economy is, there's a lot of programs to defer mortgage payments. So the investors on the secondary market have been very cautious and pulling back. And with that, it has a negative effect on interest rates. So although you hear the Fed has lowered rates, you automatically assume rates are always cheap. but it really depends on the demand of the secondary market. Now, we do think, and I think every expert is predicting, that rates will go to an all-time low. Some people are predicting below 3%. These days, rates have literally been bouncing all over the place every day. When they go, they'll 2 or 3 days ago, they were above 4%. Now on a 30-year fix, today I looked at it, it's about 3.55%. So, I mean, you can see the difference that is not normally the case. So again, as things stabilize in the US and we come out of a lot of these lockdowns and hopefully, everything goes well, I think you'll see a lot of confidence come back into the market. I think you'll see the Feds inject some liquidity or something to prop this up. And, with that, it's going to be a huge advantage for either people buying or people refinancing to get a lower rate. So everybody's favorite subject, which is the roller coaster of interest rates. Before this webinar, I was looking online at several different experts of what they consider where rates are and where they're going. Again, as I said earlier, rates have been up and down. They still are at an absolute historic low. So even if you were to get a rate today, just as an example, at 3.55% for a 30-year fix, that is phenomenal. But if you do not need to lock or close your loan within the next 30 to 60 days, everybody is recommending to float. Floating means to just wait without locking in your rate and just see, how rates are going up and down. And when the rate reaches the level that you're happy with, that's when the rate will get locked, and that's the rate that you'll have over the period of time. So that basically covers everything about getting a conventional mortgage, what is needed, so forth. I'm very accessible on WhatsApp or by email. I'm normally very quick to reply. So if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me. I'm going to open it up to some questions. There's already quite a few questions in here. So let me see. It says, what is going to happen with the market? It's kind of a $1 million question. My personal belief and people that I do follow within the market, they don't predict a major crash. I think Zillow was saying something about a possible 2%, 3% decrease in certain markets. So I don't think you're going to see a significant drop as we saw in 2008. The market will adjust, and because it's such a strong factor for the economy, I do think that there'll be a lot of increased stimulus. Second question, since GMG is based in Asia, do I still need to stay up late at night to speak with the bank? I had a very bad experience with the US and it takes a long time. That's actually a very good question and one of our good selling points. Because we have offices all around Asia, we speak various languages, we do all that for you. So our job is to help you navigate through this process when being an expat is challenging enough. Earning your income outside of the U.S., having bank statements in some countries that we deal with that are, in Mandarin or, in various currencies. Because this is our only focus is foreign nationals or expats, we know exactly how to maneuver in this field. So staying up late at night, you work on your regular hours in Asia. We're the ones staying up late at night. We have a processing team in the U.S. So if you are purchasing a property, this actually works out quite well for your realtor because they'll have 24-hour access to somebody either in the U.S. or in Asia. Another question, I recently went through the loan process with, I won't name the bank, and after 4 months of endless paperwork, they asked me for that items I could not prove. Does this happen with GMG? Um, I would like to say no, but banks can be banks, and the good thing with us is, and I was mentioning earlier, we deal only with lending institutions, whether it's a bank or a mortgage lender, that is very specific to this market. So we know exactly what you need and how long it's going to take to get. There obviously are a little bit issues with COVID and underwriters working at home and so forth. But the short answer is no. We give you a list of the items you need. Normally, our processing, our underwriting will ask for an update on documents. But if we ask you for these specific documents, normally that's all you're asked for. Do you have anybody that speaks Chinese? Yes, we have an office in Shanghai and Beijing. We have two very, very well experienced loan officers in both locations, and they can explain everything in Mandarin if needed. So. I am in Singapore. Would it be hard to get refinancing in the U.S.? No. It depends. So, this specific webinar, we have been focusing on just the expats, the U.S. expats, but we do also, one of our primary markets is foreign nationals. And that would be, example, Singaporean with no U.S. credit, earning foreign income. We've been able to create these programs and work with various lenders around the market to be able to replicate what would be if you had U.S. credit, U.S. passport, and so forth. So bottom line is, absolutely, you can refinance. It is a bit tougher now. There are a lot of lenders that focus on foreign nationals that have kind of paused. But we definitely do have programs still available, and rates are still quite good. So, another question is, can better LTV 50% in a lower credit score situation? Unfortunately, if you're a U.S. citizen, your credit score is really paramount. A lot of lenders, especially if you're looking for a Fannie Mae loan, they won't accept anything now. 670 was last week. From my understanding, it's going to go up to 700, which is a minimum. And then certain banks, as I mentioned earlier, were at 720. Now, with that said, there still are programs that you can qualify for, and the rates are not that far off. So definitely send me an email or schedule a call, and I can assist with that. Let me see. I think that is it for, oh, no, sorry. Wow, holy cow. Okay, do your lenders require me to keep a minimum deposit? No. This is something quite unique too. There's no AUM required for our mortgage loans, which makes this quite nice. We deal a lot with the UK. And with the UK, almost every loan program has some sort of AUM, which is minimum deposit required. And for in the US, certain international banks, they have minimum requirements such as $150,000, $250,000, depending on which bank it is, that needs to be kept at that institution for the term of the loan. So all of our loans do not require that, but probably have better terms than we have. Another question, can you offer me advice on how I can improve my US credit score? Very good question. We work with a group in the US, and we have a client right now that we're doing this with because the credit scores had adjusted while we were in the middle of his loan, that he no longer qualified for that program. And if you're in a purchase situation or you're in a refinance situation, that's the last thing you want to hear. So we're diligently looking at doing something called a rapid rescore. There's a little bit of a process that goes into it, but it is possible to increase your credit score. Another question, where do you have offices? I'm based in Hong Kong. So we do have an office in Hong Kong. We have offices in China, in Beijing, Shanghai, and Singapore, Manila, and Bangkok and Seoul. Another question. Oh, okay. I am a U.S. retiree in Asia. Is there an age limit for your mortgage loans? So for the U.S., which is quite unique, again, if you talk about global mortgages, there is no maximum age to obtain a mortgage, meaning that a 70-year-old borrower could still get a 30-year-old mortgage. That you cannot discriminate against anything, including age, in the U.S. So it's quite nice. Now, however, being retired, your income has to be sufficient enough to qualify, meaning that there's a certain debt to income ratio. So, and if you want to give me a call, I'm happy to discuss that with you. How long does it take to process our normal expat loan in the COVID season? Like the 4 to 6% one. Well, I'm not sure what the last part of the question means, but the processing time, it's longer, and it's longer due to the fact that, I'll just give you an example. We had an appraisal in San Francisco 2 weeks ago that we couldn't get in because the tenant actually had COVID. There's been other places in New York, for example, where they just haven't been able to go out to get to the appraisal, or if they're occupied, the appraiser doesn't want to go in. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues that have dragged things out, but I do think, as the U.S. seems to be coming out of the lockdowns and the restrictions, I do think this is going to smooth things out, and things are going to get a lot quicker. So. I bought a home with cash 5 years ago in LA, which is almost doubled in value. Congratulations. How much can I cash out? That really depends on whether or not you're a US citizen and expat. For most of our programs, we have no cash out limit. Now, there are loan limits, and with certain things, loan limits have been reduced. For example, for a foreign national or even an expat that didn't qualify for a standard, Fannie Mae loan, there were loan limits of $5 million. That has been decreased by some lenders to $3 million, other lenders to $1 million. So it really kind of depends. If you need to get access to the cash right now, then we can get whatever is possible. We'll just have to work with what you're comfortable with, and rates and programs and so forth. There's another question. Are there charges for your services? It depends on the loan program. So if it is a conventional mortgage or a true bank loan, we don't charge any fees. We don't charge any points. That's actually taken care of by the bank for us. If it is a non-QM loan, so foreign national, then the fee is based on the loan amount, and that's something we can discuss. So, sorry, there's a lot of questions here. Can I use my rental income for a property to qualify for a loan? Yes, you can. There are programs, although some of them have been pulled back, and it's only because of the uncertainty in the secondary market and the lack of liquidity. But there are programs that you don't need to show any income. It's just strictly based off of what's being generated from the property. Does GMG offer commercial loans? Sorry, there's a lot of questions here. Does GMG offer commercial loans? Yes, we do. We've done some very large loans for commercial projects, and all the way down to somebody buying a small little strip mall or store. We're able to be able to source financing for all of that. Okay, I think that might be it. It looks like it's going back to the same questionnaire. Yes. So I think that's all the questions. I want to thank everybody for logging in and staying throughout the whole process. It looks like everybody stayed. So I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Stay safe, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you. Bye bye.